Bob Merritt is calling it a career after 40 years of teaching and coaching at Holbrook School. I went to Holden to see how he's helped people around the program as he enters retirement. There was a school-wide surprise in store for Holbrook basketball coach Bob Merritt.
They let us know this morning that there was an honors assembly this afternoon, and there was no inkling about the end of this assembly whatsoever. Everybody, whoever knew, did a great job keeping it under wraps.
Merritt's retiring after 40 years coaching and teaching in Holden. There's many lives he's touched over the years, and they showed up.
My son came all the way from Boston, and I had family and friends from all over. I had former players here, and of course, now they have beards and they're over 6 feet tall, which I could have used when they were in 8th grade. And no, it was terrific.
20 years ago, I was a coach that was just starting out in John Mass, and a couple years into my career, I met the Merritt family. They were dedicated to our family at John Mass. They were dedicated to each other and continue to be. They were dedicated to Holbrook School, but more than anything, they were dedicated to anybody they cared about.
Now the Devils' home gym features Coach Merritt Court. Coach explained how his mentors helped him.
There's two people that already have their names on this building, and they were the biggest influence on the way I do things. Mr. Russell, dedication was mentioned over and over and over again, and he just led by example and taught me what it means to commit to Holbrook School. And so that was one name that was huge, and another name that's up in our building was Pat Moore's. I learned from her that you come in here on the weekends until you're ready for the week ahead. And those two were my biggest influence here.
The honor is just starting to sink in for Merritt.
Well, I hope they take care of the floor. It's terrific. It's terrific. I mean, the red Auerbach touch, the way they've got, I don't know where they got my signature from. My son, I'm sure, was involved in making all this happen.
Coaching the Devils has been special.
It's instant gratification teaching. You can call a timeout and review how to do a backdoor cut, and they go on the floor and they do it and they pull it off. They feel good. You feel good. I've put together all these whiz-bang lessons upstairs. In basketball, it's an instant reward for what you've taught, and I love that. And I've gotten that with every team, whether they won championships or they didn't. I bleed Holbrook red, that's for sure.
It's a fitting finish to an incredible career. Coach Merritt added that he remembers when Husson women's basketball coach Kissy Walker was coaching at Holbrook. Congratulations on an outstanding run and impact on your community, Bob.